Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. The Mars Agency released a report on how cannabis legalization is changing shopping behavior. As the industry is projected to be a $194 billion global industry by 2025, cannabis will be as disruptive to the CPG industry as Uber was to private transportation. 2018 was a historic year for cannabis. We saw first from a government perspective with Canada becoming the second country and first G7 nation to legalize adult use, and the US Food and Drug Administration approving the first cannabis-derived drug. Plus, we saw significant investments from a business perspective, especially from the alcoholic beverage industry. Constellation Brands, owner of Corona and Modelo Beers, invested $4 billion into Canopy Growth, a leading Canadian cannabis producer. Miller Coors partnered with the Hydro Apothecary to develop non-alcoholic cannabis-infused beverages in Canada. In the U.S., Laguntas Brewing Company became the first general market consumer product goods company to launch a cannabis product with their introduction of High Five hops. These governments and companies are following consumer demand. 1 in 5 Americans now has access to legal cannabis. According to an October 2019 Gallup poll, 66% of U.S. adults now support legal cannabis, the highest percentage ever recorded. There's no doubt that cannabis is becoming a bigger part of the consumer consideration set. Brands and retailers will need to meet consumers where they are going. The report goes on to suggest that cannabis will change retail in the following ways. 1, disrupting the consumer product goods categories. Startups and even mainstream brands are introducing and winning with cannabis products in the health and wellness, beauty, and alcoholic beverage categories. Number 2 is stealing trips from mainstream retail channels. As legal cannabis expands, it drives a shift of spending to cannabis retailers and products and away from traditional retailers and categories. And number 3, changing shoppers' expectations of retail experiences. Today's cannabis shopping experience delivers personalization, innovation, and consumer services at a whole new level that will impact shopper expectations across categories. Once a cannabis shopper finds products that are effective, they begin to navigate an entirely new retail channel in which layout, communication, and product assortment are driven by state regulation. Their path to purchase is unique and has implications not only for cannabis, but other retail channels and categories. So number 1 is a pre-shop. Most cannabis shoppers begin with a trip of pre-planned lists of items that they want to buy. 83% indicate they have a mental list of products, not necessarily brands in mind when they decide to make a trip. But even if they've decided what they want, they haven't necessarily decided where they will shop and buy. Retailer choices in this channel is similar to choosing a traditional retailer, driven by location, selection, pricing, and promotion. Shoppers indicate these are the most important criteria when choosing a dispensary or to shop. Number 1 is wide selection of infused products at 36%, followed by a high quality of flower and concentrates at 21%. Competitive pricing, ironically, is the lowest at 9%. Shoppers also check information sources for dispensary specials. The leading sources of assortment, promotions, and pricing information are Weed Maps, number 1 at 30%, followed by Leafly at 25%. The retail experience is driven by state regulations, which include identification collection, staff, customer ratios, limitations on staff and customer communications. And these restrictions shape the customer experience within new retail channels. Most dispensaries have a waiting time. On average, shoppers wait in this area for about 6 minutes, and during the wait time, shoppers interact with the following information. At 30% of the time, they're looking at a digital display of product menus and pricing, and 20% of the time, they're looking at cannabis lifestyle magazines. At the third stage is shop. Across markets, there's primarily 2 types of retail layouts in the cannabis stores: the pharmacy counter layout and the jewelry case configuration. Across both layouts, state regulations on retail and customer ratios govern customer count in the sales room. So the first layout is pharmacy, where shoppers engage with the sales rep at a counter with an assortment of available products at the sales station, with the availability to browse the store. And 30% shopped at a store with this type of setup. The second type of layout is a jewelry case, where shoppers can browse the store floor with products displayed in cases and engage with the salesperson, with 65% shopping at a store with this type of layout. The fourth stage is checkout. The quasi-legality of cannabis shifts traditional methods of payment with this new retail channel. Cash is still the most common payment method in this channel, but 7% of shoppers shop at dispensaries that offer cryptocurrency payments. The fifth stage is the post-shop. Similar to other channels, shoppers belong to many dispensary loyalty programs and shop at multiple retailers. 70% of cannabis shoppers belong to a loyalty program where they can learn about member-only sales and new products. The legal cannabis industry is unique in that it started when technology was already disrupting traditional industries, including retail. So it's not surprising that startups are popping up all over the place to be the next big thing of cannabis. In addition to innovative cannabis retail platforms for shoppers, there's also several companies emerging to serve dispensaries that sell online. While other categories and retailers are struggling to keep up with the latest technology platforms and delivery services, the legal challenges facing the cannabis industry has driven unprecedented innovation and resulted in new winners and losers. As legal cannabis expands to more markets and continues to grow online, we expect to see more startups to emerge with further enhance to the shopping experience. Whether your company is already in the cannabis space or watching it grow from a safe distance, here's what you need to be doing today to leverage the mainstream cannabis movement. Number one is understand consumer needs and impacts to shopping behavior. We know that cannabis shoppers care about staying well, and this wellness trend impacts demand across multiple categories and retailers. When consumers use cannabis for wellness and symptom management, they stop using destination categories, including prescription drugs, vitamin supplements, and OTC medications, meaning fewer trips to traditional retailers. Size the impact and opportunity of cannabis to your space and follow the consumer needs in your category. Number two is deliver unmatched shopping experience. Cannabis shops of all sizes across markets are stealing trips from traditional retailers and delivering premium, convenience, and innovative shopping experiences. Number three is experiment with retail innovation. The only industry changing faster than cannabis is retail. It's encouraged that all brands and retailers test and learn with new technologies and partner with the new startups to gain learning and first mover advantages. And with that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge, your cannabis business podcast. Like, subscribe, and share, or don't. And I'm out.